Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBigCrochet.com, and in this video I want to show you how you can crochet your very own big cabled cotton backpack. These backpacks are fun to make and great to wear, very practical for the summer months and really any time of the year, but very easy to open, close, and they fit all sizes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Before we do, if you could do me a favor and just click that subscribe button, that way you won't miss any more of my new videos coming to you your way. For this project, I'm going to be using Peaches and Cream. This is 100% cotton yarn. It's a worsted weight. This particular spool is 14 ounces, although I do not believe I'm going to be using all of that. For the exact amount that you will need, just look at the screen and I will have those amounts posted. I'm going to be using two different colors. I'm going to be using a white and I'm going to be using a contrasting color. This is a teal, but you can use whichever you would like. I'm also going to be using a size I crochet hook, and that's also a 5.50 millimeter. I also recommend that you use, or that you have handy, a measuring tape. I'm also going to be using a stitch marker. You don't have to have those, but I think they're going to be a little helpful in this project. A yarn needle for hiding loose ends. Also a pair of scissors for cutting yarn, especially with changing colors. And for the backpack straps, I am actually going to be using some macrame cotton cord. This is approximately 0.1 inch or 3 millimeters wide. If you don't have this, you can also use paracord. You will need approximately 25 feet of that for the backpack strap. If you're not able to find some macrame cotton, this is another excellent substitute. Some of the paracord that I picked up, and this stuff is really nice to crochet with. Very easy and very nice on the shoulders when you're wearing it too, when you're wearing your backpack. And I'm also going to be using some really pretty sparkly beads to trim the cord when I finish this project. You don't have to go out and buy anything like this. You can use some nice wooden beads or no beads at all, but just wanted to show you what I'm going to be using for this project. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by making our slip knot. And as we do our foundation chain, we are going to chain 43. I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then I'll show you my 43 chains. Okay, now that we have 43 chains, and you may want to double check to make sure that you have the correct number, because this is pretty important for the foundation round. Okay, so we're going to start in the second chain from hook, and we're going to start by working 2 single crochets in that first chain. Okay, after that, we're just going to work 1 single crochet all the way across until we get to the last chain. Okay, also one thing I like to point out is I am just working in the one loop along the side. I'm not working in the back bump because we are actually going to come right down the other side and work in the remaining loops, and it's just easy if you don't have to worry about doing that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work these single crochets all the way across until I get to the last chain. Okay, now I've come all the way across this chain until the last chain. I'm going to work 4 single crochets in that last chain. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Notice that I am going to be working over this slip knot, so it will be hidden forever. Okay, let me say one thing about the chain. You can see that it's curling just a little bit on me here. That's not a big problem because I'm going to crochet along the other side and that curl is going to go away. Now, if you tend to crochet your chains extremely tight, and if it's like a corkscrew and very, very tight, and you're finding yourself having a hard time even getting the hook back in the chain, then I'd recommend that you go up to a larger crochet hook for the foundation chain only. Okay. If you need to go up more than that, feel free. You don't want the chain to be extremely loose either. You want it to be a normal tension. But I just wanted to recommend that, because if you cannot stick your hook into the chain on going down this row in particular, you may want to pull it out, make the chain much looser so that you can actually crochet into it. If you're an experienced crocheter, you probably know how to do that, or that's not a problem for you. But if you're a beginner and pull the yarn really tight for the chain, definitely take the time to do this so that you don't get frustrated. Okay, so now we're going to continue our single crochet round, and I'm going to be working in the remaining loops. Now, if you have a hard time seeing, well, gee, where do I put the hook? Look opposite, find the stitch, like this is the upside down single crochet here. So that's where my next stitch goes. Just look where the other stitch went, and we're just going to single crochet along, and I'm crocheting over this stitch so I don't have to worry about hiding it later. I will have plenty of other strands to worry about hiding, but this will be one that I don't have to see again. All right, I'm going to continue working this all the way along the opposite side of the chain, and then I will show you the last stitch. Now we come all the way around to the place where the first 2 single crochets were worked. You can see them looking at the loops up here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to work 2 single crochets in that last space, which was also the first space. And then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first loops, the top loops of that single crochet. Okay, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. Now, as you work in the round, starting with round number 2, okay, after I turn, I want you to be careful that we don't add a stitch here. Let's look at the front side. Okay, this is actually the extra loop here where the slip stitch was made. So we want to make sure that we're not adding stitches to our round. So we're going to go into the first stitch, which is right here, and we're going to work a single crochet, and we're going to work a single crochet in every stitch all the way around. Okay, let me show you. We're going to go all the way, working through the loops all the way around, make that turn and come all the way down, and I will show you the connection point. So I've worked all the way around and working my last single crochet in that last stitch of the round. Now I'm going to go all the way over here. Remember, this is just the turning chain. Make sure you slip stitch rather, in the first stitch of the round. We're going to pull it through. Okay, now let's take a look at what we have. And notice how this has flattened out. Now it's going to start curving up on the ends once we add another round or 2. And that's a good thing, because this is going to be shaping the bag. If it doesn't curve up and if it just continues to look flat, then that means that you're adding stitches, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start round number 3. I'm going to chain 1, turn. We are going to be turning at the end of each round. Okay, so for round 3, we're going to begin what we call the double stitch. The double stitch is simply alternating single crochet and double crochet. And as we do the next round, this round and the next round after that, I will show you what makes it so special and what we need to do. Okay, so remember now, this is the join, so we don't want to put a stitch here. We're going to single crochet in the next stitch, or in the first stitch rather, and then double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, we're going to do that a total of 7 times, or over 14 stitches. So that's the first time, and then we do it again, single crochet and double crochet. That's the second repeat of those 2 stitches. Single crochet, double crochet. That's 3. Single crochet, double crochet. 4. Single crochet, double crochet. 5. Single crochet, double crochet. That's 6. Single crochet and double crochet. Now let's just check this to make sure I've done this right. So we should have 14 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, yay, that works. Now we're going to lay the foundation for our large cables, for the 2 large cables that we're going to do. And in order to do that, we are going to do 3 double crochets followed by a half double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. And what I want you to do now, just so that we don't get confused later, the first stitch of this cable foundation, go ahead and put a stitch marker right there so that you know that that begins the cable. It also makes it easier when I refer back to count the stitches as I'm filming. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 double crochets and then a half double crochet. And then we're going to do that 2 more times. 3 double crochets, that's just working 1 in each of the stitches, of course, and then a half double crochet. 3 double crochets, and then a half double crochet. Let's review and see what we have here. Okay, we started it here. We have 1, 2, 3, and half double crochet, 1, 2, 3, half double crochet, 1, 2, 3, half double crochet. Okay, so we did our 3 repeats of that. Now we're going to do 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and that will finish out the cable section, or the foundation that we're laying for the cable section. So I'm going to put another stitch marker in the last stitch of that cable section. Now you don't have to have fancy cable markers. These are certainly not fancy, but you don't have to run out and purchase them. If you just have a contrasting, piece of yarn, you could just cut some of the, maybe 2 or 3 inches of the white yarn and just slip it through each of these sides, and that will certainly serve you in what we're doing here. Okay, so now that we've got the cable, we're going to resume all the way around the rest of this round with the double stitch, which is single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and double crochet. So go ahead and do that all the way around. I know at first, if you've never done the double stitch, you're going to have to think about it, but once you've done several rounds like this, your hands will actually remember, and you'll get muscle memory developed, and it will go easier and more smoothly as you don't have to think about it as much. But on this initial round, make sure that you don't put 2 single crochets together or 2 double crochets together in the double stitch. Otherwise you'll have to adjust for that later. But go ahead and finish up this round, and I will show you the join. Okay, I've worked the double stitch all the way around, and go ahead and work a single crochet which follows that double crochet in that last stitch, and then join with a slip stitch. Now remember, be careful not to use any of these. Just go for that first stitch of the round and do a slip stitch. Okay, now we're going to chain, actually we're going to turn, and then we're going to chain 2, but let me show you how this is on the ends here. This should be curving up so that this will go up for the sides of our backpack. Okay, now we are going to work, we're going to work the double stitch all the way around until we get to our first stitch marker all the way down here, which will be the point of paying a little more attention to the cabling. Okay, now for doing the double stitch this direction, notice that we have a single crochet and then a double crochet. Well, we're going to start this round with a double crochet, and as we do the double stitch, we want to make sure that we put a double crochet in the top of the single crochet and a single crochet in the top of each double crochet. And by doing that, it actually evens out, kind of levels out the stitches, and you'll see that as we go along. We're going to work a double crochet. Again, make sure you're in the top of that single crochet, and then a single crochet in the top of the double crochet. Or to make it even more simple, the big stitch goes in the little stitch, and the little stitch goes in the big stitch. Okay, so I'm going to work this all the way around until I get to the first stitch marker. Okay, I've worked my double stitch all the way around to the first stitch marker. I'm going to go ahead and take this out, and for these 3 stitches, this is the cable, I'm going to work 3 front post double crochets. If you've never worked a post stitch before, let me do a quick tutorial here. You don't put it in through the top loops like we've been doing, but rather giving it a belt. The hook will go around the stitch, come out the side door, okay? And then you wrap the hook and you complete your double crochet as normal. I'll do that again. I'm going to go in the front door, the hook goes around, it's like you're giving it a belt, and then you complete the stitch and you're tying it in the front if it's a front post double crochet. So I've worked 3 front post double crochets, and it kind of poofs out from the work. It kind of helps it to kind of pop there. And now we come to the half double crochet. We work a half double crochet, just working through the top loops as we normally would. And what this does is this helps the cable to be seen, and it also kind of defines the center of the cable for us. Now we're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to do 3 front post double crochets, and then a half double crochet. Again, the half double crochets are worked through the top loops like you normally would. And then let's do that again. 3 front post double crochets, and then a half double crochet. Okay, so now we have 3 more front post stitches to work. I'm going to work the next 2. Before I work the last one, I'm going to just take out my stitch marker, if I can. There we go. And work that last stitch. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So we're building our foundation more for this cable that's going to cross in a couple of rounds. So we have the 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of the 3 front post double crochets. Okay, now you can go ahead and mark that if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and mark it again, just so that I don't kind of, run over that and forget to do what I'm supposed to do when I get to the cable. And I'm going to go ahead and put the other stitch marker in. Now after we do a couple more rounds, you're really not going to need the stitch markers because the cable is going to be pretty obvious, so you're not going to have to worry about crocheting over it by accident. Okay, now we're going to resume our double stitch. Now if you're wondering, well, gee, how do I know which stitch to work? Well, if it's a tall stitch, the double crochet, work a single crochet. If it's a single crochet like this one is, you work a double crochet. Now obviously you have to be skilled enough in crochet to be able to recognize them quickly, but I think that's something that even a beginner can learn to do. If it's a tall stitch, you put a single crochet in the top or the short stitch on top. If it's a short stitch, put the double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and work that. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and just work it, finish it out, because I'm almost to the point of joining. Okay, and let's verify. Okay, that is a stitch there, so I'm going to work a double crochet in that last stitch, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet. So when you get to the end here, you're going to have like 2 double crochets or 2 single crochets at the join, and that's not a problem. Okay, the slip stitch, we're going to join. Now we're going to start the next round after I turn with a single crochet. So I'm going to turn, chain 1, and I'm going to start this round. Okay, this is round number 5. Work with a single crochet. Remember now, don't single crochet in that join or you'll be adding stitches. So we begin with a single crochet and the double crochet. So go ahead and work that double stitch all the way around until you get to the first stitch marker of the cable. Now that I've worked my way to the first stitch marker, I'm going to take that stitch marker out, and I don't believe I'm going to use them anymore. Now I'm going to work 3 back post double crochets, and instead of going in the front door, I'm actually going to come in the back door like this, and the hook goes around the stitch, and it's like and you complete the stitch, your double crochet, and it's like tying the belt, so to speak, in the back of the stitch. You do that 3 times, and then we do a half double crochet working through the top loops of the half double crochet. And we're going to do that 2 more times, 3 back post double crochets. That's 1 in each stitch, of course, and then a half double crochet just worked through the top loops as normal. And work through the half double crochet, work through the top loops. Now we're coming to the last 3 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and take this stitch marker out, and we're going to work the last 3 just like we've been doing in back post double crochets. Okay, now we come to the double stitch portion. We just resume. We have a double crochet there, so we start with a single crochet and then a double crochet, single crochet, and then a double crochet. So go ahead and work that all the way around till you get to the first stitch of the round. Okay, I've worked this all the way around, and I'm going to work in the last stitch, which is right here. I'm going to work a single crochet. Now it did occur to me that some of you may have trouble seeing the first stitch of the round. If that's the case, you can always use a stitch marker in the first stitch of the round if you're afraid that you would just keep crocheting. Okay, so that's just another suggestion that you can do. So go ahead and join with a slip stitch, just like that, and go ahead and give it a turn. So that finishes 5 rounds. This would be the back side, and this would be the front side. Now this is the round that's going to be fun. This is the round where we actually cross the cables and it looks like you have a cable. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start this with a chain 2. And we're going to work our double stitch all the way around until we get to the cable. So we start with a double crochet, because our first stitch of the round is a single, we're working in a single crochet, and then single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. So go ahead and work all the way around until you get to the cable on the other side. Okay, that brings us to the cable, and if you're not using a stitch marker, you should have felt this, because this stitches kind of protrude a little bit more than the double stitches that we're doing. Okay, so for the cable, we're going to skip the next 3 stitches. We're going to work a half double crochet, working through the top 2 loops of that next half double crochet. Now we're going to work 3 front post treble crochets, very much the same way as a front post double crochet, except you're wrapping the hook twice. As we go in, we just work it around the stitch like we're giving it a belt in the front. Do that for the 3 stitches. Now we're going to be working in front of the stitches that we just worked, and we're going to come back to these 3 stitches that we skipped, and we're going to front post treble in those 3 stitches. Go through all the loops there. That's 2 and 3. Half double crochet in the next half double crochet. Let's take a look at this. So you just crossed one of the cables. Now this is going to look better as we do more rounds. It'll be more clearly defined as we go along. Now we're going to do what we just did again. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches, half post double in that next stitch, and we're going to front post treble crochet in the next 3 stitches. Now working in front of these last 4 stitches, actually, we're going to front post treble into 3 stitches that we skipped. This is kind of a new cabling technique that I've developed that just adds that half double crochet in between the cable. It just kind of helps, gives it a little more stitch definition, and as we do the rounds following, you'll see how it kind of smooths out, takes the boxiness out of, I think, the crochet cables, or it helps to do that some. Okay, so once you've crossed that second cable, you're just going to resume the double stitch. Okay, working in the top loops, single crochet in that double crochet, and a double crochet in that single crochet. So we're going to do that all the way around to the beginning of the round, which is right here. So we don't have far to go. I'll go ahead and finish these last few stitches and then show you the turn and the join. The last stitch of this round should be a double crochet and then join with a slip stitch to the first double crochet or the first stitch of the round. Okay, now we're going to turn and I'll show you a better view. You see how this is going up on the sides. Okay, if yours is flat, we need to do something about that. We need to see what where we're adding stitches and reevaluate. Okay, so let's go ahead and chain 1. This is the beginning of round 7, and the first stitch of this round is a double crochet. Remember not to crochet in that little stitch there, because that is actually a join, it's not a stitch. Okay, single crochet in that double crochet in that single crochet. We're going to do the short distance until we get to the cable here. So go ahead and do that. Now when we come to the cable, we have the back side facing, obviously. We're going to work 3 back post double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3. Now we need to do one other thing here before we do the next 3 back post double crochets. We're going to go in between where these cables have crossed. In between the last stitch and the next stitch, we're going to work a half double crochet in that center area. Now we're going to work 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip this half double crochet and we're going to half double crochet in the next half double crochet, and then we're going to do that again. We're going to do 3 back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3. In between the last stitch and the next stitch, we're going to put a half double crochet. This is the center of the cable where they crossed, and then 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3. We're going to skip this half double crochet and then just resume the double stitch. Single crochet in that double crochet in that single crochet. So go ahead and work that all the way around. We're going to work this all the way around until we get to the first stitch of the round. Okay, row 7 ends with a single crochet in that first stitch. This stitch, the first and the last stitch should be the same. Okay, join with a slip stitch. Okay, now we're going to turn and let's take a look at what we have. We're looking at the front side. So we have pretty much done all the rounds that we are going to do. So from this point on, we are just going to do repeats. So let me give you a small assignment and I will go do my assignment too, and then we will compare. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to go back and I'm going to put a marker, a time marker. I will tell you what it is right there. If you just look at the screen, that time marker will take you back to round number 4. Okay, we're going to repeat round 4 and 5. Round 4 is where we began the front post double crochet. That's when you get to the cable, you'll be working the front post double crochet, and then actually you'll be working it up here. 3 front posts, and then half double, 3 front post, half double, 3 front post, half double, 3 front post, and then you resume the double stitch rather. So that will be round 4, and then you repeat round 5. Then you go back, repeat round 4, and then repeat round 5. After that, go to round number 6. This is where the cables cross. And then round 7, which is the row that we just finished working, which is where you work, you're adding that half double crochet in between where the cables had crossed, and you're doing back post doubles. Okay, so just a recap, go back to the time that I showed you on that screen. We're going to do rows 4, rows 5, rows 4, rows 5, row 6, and row 7. Okay, and then that will have completed another cable, and then I will show you what I have. After that last section, this is what the front of the backpack should look like. Okay, so that was from rounds 8 through 13. So the last round, we're going to give it a number, which was round number 13. So now we're ready. We've gone ahead and I joined with the slip stitch and turned. Now we're ready to begin round 14, which is actually a repeat of round 4, and that's the one that begins with the double crochet for that double stitch and then single crochet, and we're going to work that all the way around until we get to the cable. Just as a helpful reminder, round 4 that we are repeating for this round 14 is when you work the 3 front post, half double crochet, and then the front post over this cabling area. Okay, that was just a little refresher there. Just wanted to make sure that that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to work that also across that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that all the way around. I've gone all the way around with round 14, and I worked a double crochet in that last stitch, and I'm joining with the slip stitch. We're going to turn, and now for round number 15, it's actually a repeat of round number 5, which is just, again, I'm going to start that with a single crochet, and let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to come around, and notice the back side is facing, and this is just the part where we work the 3 back post double crochets, half double, and back post double crochets across for that cabling section. So go ahead and finish that round. Okay, now it's time to join with the slip stitch. This is at the end of round 15, which is a repeat of round 5, not to be confusing. Now I'm going to join the new yarn, which is a very high contrasting white yarn. Now I don't want the knot to be on the outside, I want to be on the inside, so I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to bring the hook to the inside as I do this slip knot, and I'm going to, well actually let me bring this to the other side as well. I'm going to bring the yarn to the inside, and then I'm going to bring my hook like this, and I'm going to just do a slip stitch, which is just a normal slip stitch, and I'm going to give it a chain. I'm actually going to need to chain 2. Let me go ahead and do that. Chain 2 to start the next round. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this string, and I'm going to tie this in a knot so they don't have any chance of unwinding. Okay, so we're going to just do those 2 colors, and it really doesn't matter what this knot looks like because it's going to be on the inside of the bag, and we're going to do a really good job of hiding these strands once we get to that part of our project. Okay, so now that we've hidden our change of colors on the inside, you're going to want to do that every time we change colors. Make sure that you change it by just coming in, you know, from the back side in order to join the yarn. Okay, after we join our yarn, we're going to turn and we're going to begin working in the white. It's going to have a nice wide stripe. Each of these stripes are approximately 5 inches. With the bottom rounds, this is going to be a little bit more, but the next white round will also, or white stripe will also be approximately 5 inches, or in that ballpark. So let me go ahead and give you some instructions from here. Okay, let's just, looking at the front of the bag, this might be easier to explain. Okay, so the next section is the white stripe, and that's going to be rounds 16 through 27. And for that, you're going to be repeating rounds 4 through 15 again. So we're going to have like a half, the half of the cable here, and then a cable, and then a half, and the next half of this cable will be white, and that will give you another full-size cable, and then another half. So we're going to do that. So if you need stitch support, you can always go back to the beginning of round 4 in this video and look at it again, although I don't think you're going to need that if you've gotten this far. Okay, so go ahead and do again rounds 16 through 27, which is simply a repeat of rounds 4 through 15 using the white thread or the white yarn. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and complete that, and then I'll show you what I have. Okay, I've just completed rounds 16 through 27. I wanted to show you what my bag is looking like at this stage. Particularly, you might want to take a look at the cabling. For each of these repeats, we're going to have like half of a cable, a whole cable, and then another half a cable here. Okay, now we're getting ready to join back to the teal color. Go ahead and put the white yarn in front because we want to keep it on the inside of the bag. And I'm going to insert my hook from the back side just like I did before. And now that I've got the teal color, I'm going to pull it through and pull it through. And I'm going to go ahead and take the time right now to trim the white. And I'm going to join these two and tie just a knot like that together. That will hold them together. Okay, now that I have my loop here, I'm going to go ahead and turn my work. Go ahead and give it a chain. And now we're ready to continue our pattern. So what we're going to do now is rounds 28 through 39 is going to be the same thing that we just did. We're going to repeat rounds 4 through 15. So essentially what we just worked here, we're just going to do that again, but using the teal color. It's the same thing. And so I'm going to end the video with those instructions. When I come back to video number 2, I'll have a teal, a white, and then another teal stripe up here. And then in video number 2, I'll give you the instructions for how to complete the backpack, which will include having the holes for the backpack straps and attaching beads. So come join me in video number 2 as soon as you finish completing video number 1. God bless. Bye-bye.